everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road in the USA, and today I'm sharing with you 7 easy cards that I made using the Turquoise Mood paper collection by Craft a Clock. I'm going to show you a look at each one of the cards, and they may look complicated, but they are incredibly easy to make. We're going to make all 7 of them very quickly here today in this video. First, I'll give you a look at all 7 cards. Aren't they beautiful? I love this turquoise paper collection. Now, I embellished the cards with Force of Gentleness extras to cut, including flowers, leaves, and junk journal sets. But mainly we're using the Turquoise Mood paper collection, and this is the 15 2/5 square, the small collection. Probably the hardest part of this project is deciding which 5 pieces of paper you're going to need. Now, the back of the packaging includes cut-aparts, and we'll set those pieces aside. So what you'll need to do to begin is to choose any 5 pieces of paper from this small collection that you'd like to use. We only need to do special cuts on 5 sheets. Can you believe that? So think it over and look through the collection. All the papers are so pretty. Now, once you make your decision, I'm going to show you how we're going to cut. I have a little guide for each of the 5 papers. One of them we're going to cut into 4 triangles. Number 2, we're going to cut as follows. And I'm showing you each of the cut guides on the screen, and you can take screenshots. Now, piece number 3, we're going to cut identical to piece number 4. And piece number 2, we're going to cut identical to piece number 5. That is how we'll cut each one of the 5 pieces of paper. It's very simple. Like I said, I really strongly recommend that you take a screenshot of my close-up showing of the cutting guides before you begin. You can use this with any small paper collection that you want, and you can embellish it with any set of embellishments you want. So here I'm cutting piece number 1 into 4 triangles. Next, I'll use the measurements shown on piece number 2 and cut that also. I know it might be hard to see the measurements, but like I mentioned, I really recommend that you take a screenshot and then you can zoom in and see the measurements close up of each piece. In the USA, we use inches as our main measurement, but I also know that centimeters is used elsewhere as typical standard measurement. So I included both sets of measurements here. Here is piece number 3. Now remember that we're cutting piece 3 the same way that we're going to cut piece 4. I always like cutting these pieces. I find it very relaxing because I know that I'm creating even though I'm not thinking very hard. It just seems like I'm cutting a bunch of rectangles and squares and shapes. Magically, they'll come together into beautiful cards later on. So remember that we're cutting piece number 5 the same way that we cut piece number 2 earlier. Now that we've got all our pieces cut, we can move our paper trimmer aside and start to assemble the cards. I have 15 and 2/5 centimeter square cards. That's 6 by 6 inches. And let me zoom out just a little bit so you can see better. Now I'm going to start with the triangles. And as you can see, I'll place 2 triangles in the corners of 2 different cards. Now we're done with that for now. Before I move on, I wanted to share with you that for some of these bigger squares that we've cut, for example, in piece number 2 and piece number 5, what you might want to do is if you have a circle die or a shape die, you can cut out the middle. We're going to be covering up this panel anyway, so if you cut a piece out of the middle, it helps to stretch your supplies. You don't have to do this step, but I think it helps to stretch the supplies and also provides a really nice look. You can use any type of shape die that you want, or if you have a circle cutter from some other means, or if you just simply want to use your paper trimmer and cut a square out of the middle, that would be fine too. So we'll add the piece, the 2 square panels onto the next 2 cards. Since the paper is double-sided, it really gives you lots of options. And you can see which kind of patterns work best for the look that you're trying to create. If you're not sure where to put a piece, you can grab a new card and start a brand new look. Or you can just set the pieces aside, because I'm sure as you move along, you'll see exactly where the pieces should go. I think it's important to have your card bases on hand and ready. I actually started out with about 10 card bases, and I wasn't sure how many I would use. After 7 cards were completed, I thought that's pretty good, and I felt like it was finished. But I always start with more card bases than I think I might need. Really, I'm just experimenting and playing with the card pieces to create my cards. Now I know in my mind that I'm going to be using some decorative cards from another collection to finish out my look. So right now I'm just trying to get a background layer. You might decide to arrange your cards a little bit differently as you go along, and that's fine. It's fun to have lots of different little pieces to work with. And you can always change your mind as you go along. So I ended up with a few pieces left of piece number 3, piece number 4, and piece number 5. And I thought, this is pretty good right now. I think I'll tape down these pieces before I move on. Now that I have everything taped down, what I did was I left a few of the strips open. I'm going to add some decorative cards from the Force of Gentleness paper collection to finish off all of these cards. Now off camera, I've cut out the decorative cards, and I thought, how beautiful would it be to use an inside die shape there to cut out that dancer. So that's one option. I wasn't sure which dancer I wanted, but I knew I wanted a dancer cut out in the middle of that circle. So right now I'm just laying the decorative cards on the different card backgrounds. This looks really good with the turquoise. That looks excellent. It really, really looks beautiful. I love it. A lot of the decorative cards are small, some are larger, but it makes card making fast and easy. Paper strips are not really that exciting by themselves, but you can always add a decorative touch to the end of a strip. You can trim it with scissors, or you could tear it with your hands. There's lots of ways to make the edge of a paper strip look beautiful and exciting. So here I'm going to, we call it fishtail or notch. I'm going to cut a little triangle out of the end of a strip and make it look like a banner. That's one of my favorite things to do with paper strips. We use the word fishtail to describe this because it looks like the tail of a fish. Now with the corners that I cut out of that strip, I'll place them as decorative corners on opposite sides of one of the other decorative cards. I'm not concerned if I don't have a corner for every single corner of a card. I'm aware that I'm going to be adding flowers later and extra embellishments as well. This I'm using a little bit of sandpaper or a sanding block to just rough up one of the edges and bring out the white core of that little piece of paper. It looks really good. I like the way the corners really just add a finishing touch to those decorative cards. But you can see I'm not cutting special corners for them. It's just the scrap piece from when I cut the edge of the strip. It looks great. So I've glued everything down now, and I want to share that before you glue something down, you might want to choose to mount it on the back with some cardboard. You can have a flat look like this card, or you can add scrap cardboard to the back and add a little bit of dimension. That gives just a little bit of interest and dimension, or you can keep it flat and it's still beautiful. That's up to you. So we have some strips and pieces left over. This looks like a great time to get a brand new card and see what kind of creative background we can make with the pieces. We've certainly got enough to make an interesting background. So I was thinking of just laying them in some kind of pattern that looks appealing. Just experimenting with look and design. Now nothing is glued down yet, so I might change my mind, but once I get it the way that I like it, I always take a picture with my phone so I don't forget what it looks like. I wondered how the background would look with a decorative card, and it was starting to look really good. Also, don't be afraid to trim those strips if you need to. I think the cutting guide is just a nice way to get you started. After that, you can do whatever you want. So we've used all our strips. We've got these little pieces left. That was the piece left over from when I cut the circle. So I thought, well, I'll just keep using that since I've already cut into it. Remember, I'm just trying to create a nice background. I had this leftover yellow strip and it looked so good, I wondered if I should use it on a different card. But I thought, no, I'll use it on the same card. Now, before I tape that down, remember these pieces? It's the back of the packaging. That could be a card in itself. So I thought, well, while I'm making cards, I might as well go ahead and make another card. This is about the easiest card you can make because it's just the back of the packaging and a decorative card. Simple, simple, simple. Yes, that will be great on a card. And since I had that little piece left from trimming down the decorative card, I wondered where to put it. And then I thought, well, I'll just put it right here. Now I'll tape that down. I'll grab another card base for that last one. Yeah, this looks really good. That was so easy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, we made 7 cards. Now these are just the basic cards. We still need to embellish them. We need to add flowers and embellishments and ink and whatever else we want. Now I'm going to use some leaves and some extras to cut and some flowers, all from this Force of Gentleness paper collection. I've inked the edges of the cards. I think that really adds a nice effect. I've actually used 3 different Distress Oxide ink colors here. And I've cut out all of the extras and just playing around deciding how I want to glue them down. You can use any kind of brush or ink dabber that you're used to using, whatever you like to use. And just adding that ink around the edges really gives it a good finished look. This is frayed burlap and fossilized amber and antique linen. Those are the 3 colors that I used for the Distress Oxide ink. I think the ink really brings out the color of whatever extras you're going to use. I don't think I would use a turquoise ink. That would be a little bit too much. Now I'm going to show you a look at the finished cards. You can see I embellished them with the leaves and some of the extras, and I used some of the special occasions quotes, one also by Craft a Clock. Here's a happy birthday card. And you can tell I really didn't embellish them too much. The basic card is still there. 3 flowers and a quote and a few leaves. And that's all I added to that card that says bless you. Isn't that beautiful? Here's a thank you card. I added some Lindy's Magical powder to the flowers. And here's that beautiful dancer card. I didn't have to add much at all. Just the quote, the chipboard quote, also by Craft a Clock. I love that. So simple, just beautiful. Another chipboard quote and a chipboard accent, and that's it. No other flowers, just the decorative card, and that's it. They're just so pretty. I love this one, a bunch of wishes. So thanks so much for watching. You can check the description box for links to purchase the products, and thanks so much to Craft a Clock for providing the products today. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.